How to care for Crassula perforata. Caring for my Crassula perforata is a joy. I've found it thrives in bright, indirect sunlight and well-draining soil. I make sure not to overwater it, allowing the soil to dry out completely between waterings. During the growing season, I fertilize it lightly to encourage healthy growth, but I'm careful not to overdo it. Regularly checking for pests and diseases is also part of my care routine, as prevention is always better than cure when it comes to keeping my plants healthy. See more 220 species in genus Crassula at monsteraholic.com. Crassula conjuncta versus perforata. When caring for them, I found Crassula conjuncta to be more compact and dense in growth, making it ideal for smaller spaces or arrangements. Perforata, on the other hand, surprised me with its intricate leaf patterns and how it sprawls elegantly, adding a unique charm to hanging displays. Crassula rupestris versus perforata. Growing Crassula rupestris was a delightful challenge. Its stacked, cylindrical leaves fascinated me, especially as they took on reddish hues under bright light. Perforata, with its propeller-like leaves and more vigorous growth, stood out in my collection, demanding attention with its striking appearance and adaptability to different light conditions. How to propagate Crassula perforata. Propagating my Crassula perforata is something I've done with success. I prefer using stem cuttings for propagation because they root easily. After selecting a healthy stem, I let it callus over for a few days before placing it in a well-draining potting mix. Keeping the soil lightly moist and providing indirect light helps the cutting establish roots. It's always exciting to see new growth emerge, knowing I've successfully propagated a new plant from my existing one. How to clone Crassula perforata. Cloning my Crassula perforata is a fascinating process. I've used both stem and leaf cuttings for cloning, but I find stem cuttings to be more reliable. I take a healthy stem cutting, remove the lower leaves, and let it callus over before planting it in a suitable potting mix. Ensuring the cutting has adequate warmth and humidity while it roots helps expedite the process. Watching the clone grow into a new plant feels like witnessing a small miracle of nature in action. How to cut Crassula perforata. Cutting my Crassula perforata is something I do occasionally to maintain its shape and encourage bushier growth. I prefer using clean, sharp scissors to make clean cuts just above a leaf node. This encourages new growth and prevents the stem from looking unsightly. I always make sure to sanitize my tools before and after pruning to minimize the risk of spreading diseases. How to water Crassula perforata variegata. Watering my Crassula perforata variegata requires a delicate balance. I've learned through trial and error that overwatering can lead to root rot, while underwatering can cause the leaves to shrivel. I aim to water it thoroughly but infrequently, allowing the soil to dry out slightly between waterings. Using a well-draining potting mix and a container with drainage holes helps prevent waterlogging and ensures the roots stay healthy. Is Crassula perforata toxic to cats? As a cat owner, I'm always cautious about the plants I bring into my home. After researching, I discovered that Crassula perforata is not listed as toxic to cats. However, I still keep it out of reach just to be safe. Cats are curious creatures, and I wouldn't want to take any chances with their health. So far, my feline friend hasn't shown much interest in my plants, but I prefer to err on the side of caution when it comes to their well-being. Should the plant Crassula perforata be indoors or outdoors? Whether to keep Crassula perforata indoors or outdoors depends on various factors. I personally prefer to keep mine indoors because it allows me to control the environment more easily. Indoors, I can ensure it gets the right amount of sunlight and protection from harsh weather conditions. However, if you live in a climate where outdoor conditions mimic its native habitat and you have the space for it, growing Crassula perforata outdoors can be a beautiful addition to your garden. Ultimately, it comes down to personal preference and the specific conditions of your living space.